The sound of a body hitting the floor echoed through the crowded terminal, momentarily silencing the constant hum of travelers rushing to their gates. Zane Taylor looked up from his phone, where he'd been frantically checking flight delays, his 5-year-old daughter Lily clutching his hand tightly as they stood in the security line at LaGuardia Airport. "Daddy, that lady fell down," Lily whispered, tugging at his sleeve and pointing toward a woman crumpled on the floor several feet ahead of them. People were stepping around her, some glancing down with concern but continuing on their way, their rolling suitcases bumping along the tile floor. "No one stopped. Stay right here with our bags, sweetheart," Zane instructed, kneeling to meet his daughter's wide blue eyes. "Don't move an inch, okay? I need to help that person." Lily nodded solemnly, gripping the handle of their worn carry-on with both hands. "I'll be good, Daddy." Zane rushed forward, weaving through the line of impatient travelers. The woman lay face down, her honey blonde hair fanned across the floor, an expensive-looking leather briefcase still clutched in her hand. Her cream-colored blazer and tailored slacks suggested she was a business traveler. "Excuse me, miss." Zane knelt beside her, gently touching her shoulder. "Can you hear me?" She stirred slightly, letting out a soft moan. "I need some help here," Zane called out, looking around. A TSA agent finally noticed and began making his way over. Zane carefully rolled the woman onto her side, revealing a pale face with delicate features, her eyes fluttering. "Water," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Zane fumbled for his water bottle in his jacket pocket. "Here, small sips," he said, supporting her head as she took a tiny drink. Her eyes opened fully then, revealing irises the color of warm amber. She focused on his face with obvious effort. "Thank you," she murmured. "I'm just dizzy." The TSA agent arrived with a wheelchair. "Madam, we have medical staff who can check you out." "No, I'm fine," she insisted, attempting to sit up. "I haven't eaten today, and with the heat in here." She swayed again, and Zane steadied her with a firm but gentle grip. "You're not fine," he said decisively. "Let them check you out. I can bring your things." She looked like she wanted to argue but lacked the strength. "My flight. What airline? I'll let them know. Delta 430 to San Francisco." Zane nodded, then remembered Lily. He glanced back to see his daughter standing exactly where he'd left her, watching with wide, worried eyes. He motioned her over. As the TSA agent helped the woman into the wheelchair, Zane gathered her fallen purse and briefcase. Lily approached cautiously, dragging their carry-on. "Is the pretty lady okay, Daddy?" The woman's pale face softened at the child's concern. "I'm feeling better already, sweetheart. Thank you for sharing your daddy for a minute." "This is my daughter, Lily," Zane said, "and I'm Zane Taylor." "Amelia Davenport," she replied, extending a slender hand that bore no wedding ring, just a simple platinum watch that probably cost more than Zane's monthly rent. "Truly, thank you for stopping. Nobody else did. People get too caught up in their own world sometimes," Zane said, shrugging. "We're going to miss our flight if we don't hurry anyway." "Where are you headed?" Amelia asked as the TSA agent began wheeling her toward the first aid station. "San Francisco, actually. Same as you, visiting my mom Lily's grandmother." Amelia smiled weakly. "What a coincidence, miss." "Davenport, we need to get you checked out," the TSA agent interrupted. "I'll let the airline know about your situation," Zane promised, lifting his carry-on and taking Lily's hand again. "Thank you, Zane," Amelia said, something unreadable crossing her features. "Perhaps I'll see you in San Francisco." 40 minutes later, Zane and Lily had made it through security and were waiting at their gate when he spotted Amelia walking carefully toward the same area. Some color had returned to her cheeks, and she carried a sandwich and juice from one of the airport restaurants. "Daddy, it's the lady," Lily exclaimed, waving enthusiastically. Amelia noticed them and changed direction, heading their way with a genuine smile. "My rescue team," she said. "They gave me some glucose and told me to eat something substantial immediately. Apparently my blood sugar crashed." "Glad you're feeling better," Zane said, moving his backpack from the empty seat beside him. "Join us? Thank you." Amelia sat gracefully, setting her briefcase at her feet. "The airline was very accommodating after you told them what happened. They're holding my seat even though I'm technically late for boarding. That's good to hear." "Can I have some of your chips?" Lily asked, eyeing the bag that came with Amelia's sandwich. Lily, Zane admonished. We don't ask strangers for food. It's quite all right, Amelia laughed, opening the bag and offering it to the child. I certainly owe your family a debt of gratitude. As Lily happily munched on potato chips, Zane studied Amelia more closely. Now that she wasn't collapsed on the floor, he could see she was probably in her early 30s, close to his own 35 years. Her makeup was subtle but expertly applied, and despite the airport incident, she carried herself with a natural elegance that made him acutely aware of his own worn jeans and faded t-shirt. So, business in San Francisco? He asked. A guarded look passed over her face. Something like that. What about you? Just visiting family? Yeah, my mom hasn't seen Lily in almost a year. It's been tough to afford the trip. He wasn't sure why he'd admitted that to a stranger, but something about Amelia's direct gaze made him want to be honest. Single dad, she asked gently. For 3 years now, Lily's mom decided parenthood wasn't for her when our daughter was 2. He kept his tone neutral, conscious of Lily listening while pretending to be absorbed in her chips. I'm sorry to hear that, Amelia said, and sounded like she genuinely meant it. We manage all right, don't we, Lil? He ruffled his daughter's dark curls. I work construction during the day and do handyman jobs on weekends. It keeps a roof over our heads in Queens. Amelia nodded, a thoughtful expression on her face. Before she could respond, the gate agent announced the start of boarding for their flight. That's us in Group 4, Zane said, gathering their things. You're probably in first class or something. Actually, Amelia said, checking her boarding pass, I'm in 14C, main cabin. Zane raised his eyebrows in surprise. Something about her had screamed executive class. We're in 14A and B, he said, double-checking his own passes. Looks like we're seatmates after all. Lily clapped her hands in delight. I get the window. The 5-hour flight to San Francisco passed surprisingly quickly. Lily, wedged between the window and Amelia, chattered happily about kindergarten, her stuffed animals, and how her grandmother promised to take her to see the sea lions at Fisherman's Wharf. Amelia listened with genuine interest, asking questions that made Lily beam with importance. Zane alternated between dozing and watching their interaction with a mixture of amusement and curiosity. There was something refreshing about Amelia's lack of condescension toward his daughter. Many adults humored children without really engaging, but Amelia treated Lily's stories about playground politics with the same attentiveness she might give a colleague. When Lily finally fell asleep against the window, Amelia turned to Zane. She's wonderful, she said quietly. You've done an amazing job with her. Thanks, it hasn't been easy, but she's worth every struggle. What's the hardest part? Amelia asked, and again, there was that genuine interest that made him want to open up. Zane thought for a moment. The constant worry, I suppose. Worrying that I'm not providing enough, not just financially but emotionally. Her mom leaving hit her hard, even though she was little. Sometimes I catch her looking at other kids with their moms, and there's this look on her face. He trailed off, swallowing against a sudden tightness in his throat. Amelia touched his arm lightly. Children are resilient, especially when they have one parent who clearly adores them. What about you? Zane asked, eager to change the subject. Family, kids, a shadow crossed Amelia's face. No children, no husband either. I was engaged once, about 4 years ago, but it didn't work out. I'm sorry, she shrugged elegantly. Don't be. Blake was more interested in what I could do for his career than in building a life together. His loss, Zane said simply. Amelia looked at him with surprise, then smiled. That's a kind thing to say. Just the truth. So what do you do that kept you so busy you forgot to eat today? Again, that flicker of guardedness. Investment management, she said after a slight pause. It gets hectic sometimes. Sounds important. It pays the bills, she replied with a small smile. What about you? Did you always want to work in construction? Zane laughed softly. Not exactly. I was studying architecture at City College when Lily's mom got pregnant. I dropped out to work full-time so we could save for the baby. The plan was to go back eventually, but... He gestured to indicate how life had intervened. You could still go back, Amelia suggested. Maybe someday. For now, I'm just focused on giving Lily stability. They continued talking as the plane crossed the country, discovering shared tastes in music and books, debating the merits of New York versus California pizza, and finding surprising common ground despite their obviously different backgrounds. By the time the plane began its descent into San Francisco, Zane felt as if he'd known Amelia for much longer than a few hours. As they disembarked, Amelia paused in the jetway. "I've really enjoyed talking with you, Zane. And you too, Lily," she added as the sleepy child blinked up at her. "I hope you have a wonderful time with your grandmother." "Thanks," Zane said, suddenly reluctant to part ways. "And take care of yourself. No more collapsing in airport lines, okay?" Amelia laughed. "I'll do my best." She hesitated, then pulled a business card from her purse. "If you have any free time while you're in the city, maybe we could meet for coffee." Zane accepted the card, noticing the minimalist design. Amelia Davenport, Davenport Capital Management, with a phone number and email address. Nothing flashy, but the heavy cardstock and embossed lettering suggested quality. "I'd like that," he said sincerely. "My mom would probably love a few hours with Lily all to herself anyway." "Perfect. Just call or text that number. It's my personal cell." As they parted ways in the terminal, Zane tucked the card carefully into his wallet, surprised by how much he was looking forward to seeing her again. "She was nice, Daddy," Lily said as they waited for their luggage. "She smelled like flowers and didn't talk to me like I'm a baby." "Yes, she did," Zane agreed, wondering what exactly Amelia Davenport's story was. There was something she wasn't saying about her work he'd met enough people to recognize when someone was being deliberately vague. But he'd also seen genuine warmth in her eyes when she talked to Lily, and that counted for a lot in his book. It wasn't until 2 days later that Zane found time to text Amelia. His mother had indeed been thrilled to have one-on-one time with her granddaughter, practically shoving him out the door with instructions to go have some adult time, for heaven's sake. "Hi, Amelia, it's Zane from the flight, and the airport floor, wondering if that coffee offer still stands. I'm free today until about 4. Her response came almost immediately. "Absolutely. How about Sight Glass Coffee on 20th Street at 1 p.m.? It's a local favorite." Zane found the coffee shop easily and spotted Amelia at a corner table, dressed more casually than at the airport in dark jeans and a soft-looking sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. She waved when she saw him, a genuine smile lighting up her face. "You found it," she said as he sat down. "I already ordered you a latte, hope that's okay. The barista here makes incredible designs in the foam." "That's perfect, thanks." Zane settled into the chair across from her, struck again by how at ease he felt in her presence despite their different worlds. "So what's good to see in San Francisco? My mom's taking Lily to the Exploratorium tomorrow, and I thought I might check out some sights on my own." "How long are you in town?" Amelia asked. "We fly back on Sunday, 5 days total." "Well, you absolutely must see the Golden Gate Bridge, of course, but there's also." They spent the next hour discussing San Francisco attractions, their conversation flowing easily from tourism to childhood memories to favorite books. Zane found himself opening up about his dreams of finishing his architecture degree someday, while Amelia shared stories about growing up as an only child with parents who traveled constantly for work. "It sounds lonely," Zane observed when she described spending school holidays with a succession of nannies while her parents attended business conferences. "It was, sometimes," she admitted. "That's why I admire how devoted you are to Lily. She'll never doubt that she comes first with you." "I try my best," Zane said. "Though lately it's been harder to balance everything. The apartment building where we live is being sold, and the new owners are raising the rent by almost 40%. I'm looking at other options, but New York prices being what they are." He shrugged, embarrassed to be talking about financial problems. Amelia's expression grew thoughtful. "That's happening all over. Investment firms buying up residential buildings and squeezing every penny from tenants." "You sound like you know something about it," Zane remarked. "I see it from the other side in my work," she said carefully. "Not all investment is predatory, but some firms have no regard for the human cost of their returns." Zane nodded, noting again how she spoke about her work in generalizations. Well, we'll figure something out, we always do. As they prepared to leave the coffee shop, Amelia hesitated. I don't suppose you'd like to have dinner tomorrow night. I know a place with an amazing view of the bay, Zane grinned. I'd like that very much. It's a date. The word hung between them for a moment, both of them smiling almost shyly. Yes, Amelia agreed softly. A date. Dinner the following evening exceeded all expectations. The restaurant, perched on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, offered stunning sunset views and exquisite food. Zane, dressed in the one decent button-down shirt he'd packed, felt slightly out of place among the well-heeled clientele but forgot his self-consciousness once he and Amelia began talking. Over wine and seafood, they delved deeper into each other's lives. Zane described his childhood in a working-class neighborhood in Queens, the son of a plumber and a nurse. Amelia spoke of boarding schools and summers in Europe, but without pretension, often expressing how she'd envied classmates with more present parents. My father was obsessed with building his company, she explained. He started with one small investment office and expanded until Davenport Capital became significant. My mother managed the social aspects of the business, which meant endless charity galas and networking events. Wait, Zane said, setting down his fork. Davenport Capital, that's your family's company. As in, your family owns it, Amelia nodded, watching his reaction carefully. My father founded it. I took over as CEO 3 years ago when he semi-retired. Zane blinked, processing this information. So you're not just an investment manager, you run the whole company. Yes, she held his gaze steadily. Does that change things? Zane considered the question honestly. I'm not sure, he admitted. I guess it depends on what kind of company Davenport Capital is. Amelia smiled, appearing relieved by his response. We're the kind that believes in ethical investment. After I took over, I redirected a significant portion of our portfolio toward affordable housing initiatives and small business support, especially in underserved communities. That sounds like important work, Zane said, genuinely impressed. It is. But it's also why I collapsed at the airport. We're in the middle of a major new project, a fund specifically for preserving affordable housing in gentrifying neighborhoods. I've been working around the clock, and I simply forgot to eat that day. Well, I'm glad I was there to catch you, Zane said, reaching across the table to take her hand. Even if I didn't know I was rescuing a CEO. Amelia squeezed his hand, her eyes warm. You didn't see a CEO. You just saw someone who needed help. That says a lot about you, Zane Taylor. As they walked along the beach after dinner, shoes in hand and the cool sand between their toes, Zane felt a connection to Amelia that transcended their different backgrounds. The moon cast silver light across the water, and a gentle breeze carried the salt scent of the ocean. I keep thinking about what would have happened if we hadn't met, Amelia said, her shoulder brushing against his as they walked. If you hadn't been the one person in that airport line with enough compassion to stop. Someone else would have helped eventually, Zane said, though he wasn't entirely sure that was true. Maybe, but it wouldn't have led to this. She gestured between them. I haven't felt this comfortable with someone in. I can't even remember how long. Zane stopped walking and turned to face her. I know what you mean. It's like we've known each other much longer than 3 days. In the moonlight, Amelia's eyes shimmered. Is it crazy to feel this way so quickly? If it is, then we're both crazy. Zane touched her cheek gently, and when she leaned into his hand, he bent down to kiss her. The kiss was tender, a perfect moment suspended in time with the rhythm of the waves providing a soundtrack. When they finally broke apart, Amelia's smile was radiant. Definitely crazy, she whispered, in the best possible way. The remaining days of Zane and Lily's San Francisco visit flew by in a whirlwind of sightseeing and increasingly precious moments with Amelia. She joined them for a day at Golden Gate Park, winning Lily over completely by knowing all the best spots in the children's playground and buying her an enormous ice cream cone. Zane watched with a mixture of joy and trepidation as his daughter clearly fell under Amelia's spell, just as he was doing himself. The thought of returning to New York and leaving this connection behind grew increasingly painful. On their last evening in San Francisco, After Lily had been tucked into bed at his mother's apartment, Zane met Amelia for a final dinner. They chose a quiet neighborhood restaurant, both subdued by the knowledge of his imminent departure. "I don't want to say goodbye," Amelia said directly, never one to avoid difficult topics. "These past 5 days have been, I don't have the words, Zane." "I know," he agreed, his chest tight with emotion, "but I have to go back, my job, Lily's school. What if you didn't have to choose?" Amelia suggested, her eyes serious. "What if there was another option?" Zane raised his eyebrows. "I'm listening." Davenport Capital is opening a new division focused on community development. We're renovating historically significant buildings into mixed-income housing communities. We need someone who understands both construction and design to oversee projects in New York. "Are you offering me a job?" Zane asked, surprised. "I'm offering you an opportunity," Amelia clarified. "The position would require completing your architecture degree, which the company would fund. In the meantime, you'd work as a project consultant with flexible hours that would allow you to be there for Lily." Zane sat back, stunned. "That's incredibly generous, but I can't help feeling like it's charity because we've been seeing each other." Amelia shook her head firmly. "It's a business decision based on your qualifications and potential. The personal connection is separate, though I won't pretend it isn't important to me." She reached for his hand. "I've never met anyone like you, Zane. Someone so genuine, so dedicated to what matters. I don't want to lose that because we live on opposite coasts. What about your life here? Your company, Davenport Capital, has offices in New York. I've been considering spending more time there anyway. This would give me a reason to commit to that plan." She paused. "I'm not asking you to upend your life overnight, just to consider the possibility of something more permanent between us." Zane looked into her eyes, seeing not the CEO of a major investment firm, but simply Amelia, the woman who listened to his daughter's stories with genuine interest, who kissed him on a moonlit beach, who understood his dreams when he'd almost forgotten them himself. "I think," he said slowly, "that I'd be a fool not to at least explore this possibility, but we need to take it one step at a time, for Lily's sake and for ours." Amelia's smile was luminous. "One step at a time sounds perfect." 3 months later, Zane stood in the doorway of a spacious Brooklyn brownstone apartment, watching as Lily explored her new bedroom with exclamations of delight. "Daddy, there's a window seat, and look at all the bookshelves." "I know, pumpkin. Pretty amazing, huh?" He turned as he felt Amelia's arm slip around his waist. "You're sure about this? It's a big commitment." Amelia leaned her head against his shoulder. "The building needed a resident manager who understands architecture and construction. You needed an affordable place to live while you finish school. It makes perfect business sense. And the fact that you own the building and the apartment happens to be on the same floor as your New York pied-à-terre is just coincidence," he teased. "Completely coincidental," she agreed with mock seriousness. "Though I do appreciate the short commute to see my boyfriend." The word still gave Zane a thrill. These past months of long-distance dating, with Amelia flying to New York every other weekend and video calls nearly every night, had only strengthened their connection. Moving into the brownstone wasn't just about the job or the convenient housing, it was a deliberate step toward building a future together. His first semester back at City College was challenging but exhilarating. The project consultant position with Davenport Capital allowed him to apply his practical construction knowledge, while learning the design principles he'd once abandoned out of necessity. And watching Lily blossom in her new school, making friends and excelling academically, confirmed he'd made the right decision. As for Amelia, she'd proven herself to be everything he'd glimpsed in those first days in San Francisco: brilliant and compassionate, driven but also capable of setting work aside to build sandcastles with Lily or spend a lazy Sunday morning in bed with Zane. "I was thinking," Amelia said now, as they watched Lily arranging stuffed animals on her new window seat, "that we should invite your mother to visit for Thanksgiving. This place has plenty of room and I'd like to get to know her better." "She'd love that," Zane said, touched by the gesture. His mother had been cautiously supportive of his relationship with Amelia, worried at first that their different backgrounds would eventually cause problems. But Amelia had won her over during a weekend visit, showing genuine interest in her nursing career and deferring to her expertise on all things Lily-related. "And maybe we could visit my parents in Connecticut at Christmas," Amelia suggested, a hint of nervousness in her voice. "They're eager to meet you and Lily." Zane kissed the top of her head. "As long as you promise to protect me from any intimidation tactics your father might employ. He'll adore you," Amelia assured him. "You're exactly what he always wanted for me, someone who sees me, not my family's money or my position." "I see you," Zane confirmed, turning her to face him. "I see the woman who collapsed in an airport because she was working too hard to help others. I see the CEO who uses her power to make a difference. I see the person who listens to my 5-year-old stories as if they're the most important things in the world." Amelia's eyes glistened. "And I see you, the man who stopped to help a stranger when no one else would. The father who puts his daughter first, always. The person who makes me feel more at home than I've ever felt in my life." 1 year to the day after they met, Zane and Amelia returned to San Francisco. They walked the same beach where they'd shared their first kiss, now with Lily running ahead of them, chasing seagulls in the fading light. "Do you remember what you said that night?" Amelia asked, her hand warm in his. "That it was crazy to feel so connected so quickly." "I remember," Zane said, stopping to pull something from his pocket. "And I still think it was crazy, the best kind of crazy." He opened his palm to reveal a simple but elegant diamond ring. "I don't know if it's too soon or too fast, but I do know that I love you, Amelia Davenport. I love your brilliant mind and your generous heart. I love how you've embraced Lily as if she were your own. I love our life together, and I want to make it official." Tears spilled onto Amelia's cheeks as she nodded, too overcome to speak at first. "Yes," she finally managed. "Yes, Zane Taylor. I want to be your wife." As he slid the ring onto her finger, Lily came running back, alerted by some sixth sense that something momentous was happening. "Are you going to be my mom now?" she asked Amelia directly, her small face serious. Amelia knelt in the sand to meet Lily's eyes. "If that's something you'd like, sweetheart, I would be honored to be your mom, but I know you had a mom before and I'd never try to replace her." Lily considered this with the gravity only a 6-year-old could muster. "I think I can have both," she decided. "A before mom and a now mom." "That sounds perfect," Amelia said, pulling Lily into a hug as Zane wrapped his arms around them both. As the sun set over the Pacific, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, Zane marveled at how a single moment of human kindness stopping to help a collapsed stranger when everyone else walked by had changed the course of 3 lives forever. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, a family united not by circumstance but by choice and love. And in the end, that was the greatest fortune of all.